Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something literally every professional has wrestled with at some point, transforming project management, and specifically stakeholder communication using the sheer power of AI. If you're managing projects, teams, or clients, you already know the drill, right? Keeping everyone on the exact same page is, without a doubt, the hardest part of the job. Well, today, we're going to unpack a totally new playbook for generating professional updates, reports, and documentation faster than you ever thought possible.
So let me ask you what might be kind of a painful question. Are you actually leading projects, or are you just formatting reports? Seriously, think about your daily routine for a second. Think about all those hours you spend just wading through endless updates, right? Copying and pasting info from one tool to another, desperately trying to scrape together a cohesive status report. That daily grind, that endless communication overhead, it's a massive drain on your actual leadership potential. We absolutely need a way out.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our visual roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the PM communication bottleneck. Then, the AI context engine. Third, the 3 AI pillars. Fourth, the continuous alignment loop. And finally, number 5, reclaiming your strategic leadership.
All right, jumping into section 1, the PM communication bottleneck. It is time to escape the raw project chaos.
So picture the traditional bottleneck. On one side, you've got this absolute mountain of raw project chaos. We're talking Jira tickets, sprawling Slack threads, scattered meeting notes, endless emails. And right smack in the middle of all of it is you, the human project manager. You're stuck there manually gathering, adjusting, and formatting all this data, which, let's be honest, inevitably leads to delayed outputs. You just get totally trapped in this exhausting cycle of tactical reporting instead of actually driving the project forward.
The contrast here is just staggering. The old manual approach, it demands heavy manual searching, rewriting, and sequential drafting. It literally means hours of pure overhead. But when we flip to an AI-assisted approach, we're talking about automated context ingestion and parallel generation. The time it takes to produce an update plummets from hours of painful, tedious overhead down to literally just minutes of prompt tuning. It's a total game changer.
Moving on to section 2, the AI context engine, your translation prism. Now, it's really important to understand that the AI context engine isn't just some basic chatbot where you type a quick question and get a generic answer. No, instead, think of it as a highly sophisticated translation prism. It takes in all that raw, messy, unstructured project chaos we just talked about, processes the whole shebang, and outputs precisely tailored, incredibly professional communications pretty much instantaneously. Just imagine all of your chaotic project data literally pouring into this AI translation prism. The AI grabs all that context and, at the exact same time, routes it into completely distinct, customized outputs. We're talking a high-level executive summary, a highly technical dev team update, and a polished client status report, all generated in parallel. It completely takes over the heavy lifting of translation for you.
Next up, section 3, the 3 AI pillars. This is our velocity times impact framework.
We can actually map out this strategy using 2 main dimensions, execution frequency and strategic impact. This essentially gives us 3 distinct zones where AI steps in. Down on the bottom right, we have your high-frequency updates, so your daily tactical blocker resolutions, things like that. Right in the middle, we've got strategic reports. These are synthesized for team alignment and typically updated monthly. And then up in the top left, updated rarely but packing massive foundational impact, we have living documentation. Let's break each one of these pillars down.
Starting with Pillar 1, high-frequency updates. For those daily check-ins, AI acts like what I call an audience translation dial. You can take a raw piece of information, say a delayed server migration, and instantly slide these virtual dials for detail level, technical jargon, urgency, and formality. It lets you perfectly match exactly who you happen to be talking to on any given day. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing that exact translation in action. For the C-suite, the AI dials the jargon way down to focus purely on the business impact. It says, timeline adjusted by 48 hours to ensure system stability. Because, let's be real, executives don't need to hear about endpoints, they just care about stability and timelines. But flip over to the engineering side, and the AI dials the technical jargon all the way up. Migration blocked by V2 API endpoint failure, 48-hour resolution path initiated. It is precise, it's actionable, and it hits the nail on the head for that specific audience. Moving on up to Pillar 2, Strategic reporting. Since these reports really require a deeper narrative and strategic alignment, we use something called the iteration gear workflow. Step 1 is draft generation, where you just inject your project metrics to get a quick baseline. Step 2 is the PM review. This is absolutely crucial. It's your moment as the human in the loop to actually validate the facts. Step 3 is the prompt tweak, where you refine the instructions to maybe make the tone more persuasive or highlight specific risks. And finally, step 4 is the final polish. The AI completely accelerates that initial drafting phase, so you get to spend your time actually tuning the strategic context instead of, manually formatting tables for 2 hours. And finally, we hit pillar 3, living documentation. You can really think of this like an architectural stack. Down at the very bottom, you've got all your unstructured historical data. The AI steps in as this powerful middle layer, continuously categorizing and synthesizing that raw data upward into clean, structured, modular blocks, things like wikis, project charters, and SOPs. It literally takes your messy project history and transforms it into a solid, foundational, living knowledge base. All right, section 4, the continuous alignment loop. This is a compounding cycle. Let's move to and see how this builds, because it creates this incredibly powerful, compounding, automated knowledge cycle. Think about it. Your daily tactical updates organically feed right into your weekly status. Then, those weekly updates naturally synthesize into your big monthly strategic reports. And the insights from those monthly reports, they map directly back into your foundational documentation, which then provides all the perfect context for the next cycle of daily updates. Communication goes from being this exhausting series of isolated, manual tasks to a system that actually compounds on itself.
Finally, section 5, reclaiming strategic leadership. This is the ultimate transformation. This right here is the profound shift we're actually aiming for. A traditional manual PM spends a whopping 80% of their valuable time just on administration, gathering data, rewriting, formatting, which leaves a measly 20% for actual strategy. But by treating AI as your communication co-pilot, the AI-augmented PM flips that script entirely. They spend just 20% of their time on prompt tuning, reclaiming 80% of their week for true, impactful strategic leadership.
To sum this whole thing up, our ultimate goal is to transition from tactical formatting to strategic alignment. When you finally stop fighting that raw project chaos manually, and you just let the AI context engine handle all that heavy lifting of translation and formatting, you elevate your role entirely. So I'll leave you with this one last provocative thought. If you suddenly got 80% of your week back because AI was doing all the tedious formatting for you, what incredible strategic impact could you finally make in your organization? Just think about that for a second. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.